slow ahead. I can go slow ahead. Come on down and chum some of this shit.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
In 1975, 26-year-old Steven Spielberg set out to make a movie based on the novel Jaws, written by Peter Benchley. The production of this movie was notoriously a disaster, and easily could have been the early end of Spielberg's career. The production went seriously over budget, ran way behind schedule, and probably most famously, the mechanical sharks used in the films were barely working when they were supposed to. There were actually 3 25-foot-long animatronic sharks used in the filming of Jaws, all built by a team led by Bob Matty, a man who previously worked on the giant squid featured in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. These sharks possess steel skeletons covered with rubber skin, and their insides contained complicated air-powered mechanisms that allowed for the sharks to move perfectly when dry and on land. Upon being placed in the ocean, however, the mechanical components were practically ruined and, like previously stated, barely ever worked.
And action, Roy.
Slow ahead. I can go slow ahead. You ought to come down and ladle some of this shit.
And down.
These animatronics cost $500,000 to create, and because of the nature of the problems, were at times practically unusable. It was up to Spielberg to find a solution, and that's exactly what he did. Because of how little the animatronic sharks really worked, other methods had to be utilized in order to show the presence of the animal. John Williams, as usual, created an absolutely perfect score for this movie, and nothing is more iconic than the theme of the shark itself. Some could argue that the first few notes are some of the most recognizable in film history, and there's good reason for that. On top of this, Spielberg uses POV shots of the fish itself stalking underneath the water, slight glimpses of it here and there, and entirely other methods to inspire fear in the best way possible, from the imagination. The first shark attack of the movie begins with no music at all, just a young woman swimming through the ocean alone in the dark. The music only kicks in when we can see the point of view of something below the waves looking up at her. The music continues, but only gets that ominous tone when you can see the camera approach her from underneath. The ensuing attack consists of the young woman being violently shaken and dragged underneath the water, and her attacker is never shown. We as an audience know it's a shark, but the fact that we never see it, and more importantly she never sees it, makes the scene all the more terrifying. As she's pulled under the water one final time and her screams of terror are silenced, the music goes as well, leaving only the sound of waves crashing against the dark beach and a buoy dinging in the distance. It's what we don't see that's scariest to us, and Jaws takes that idea and runs with it, barely ever showing the shark until the end. This is often called the Jaws effect, the idea that the less you show, the scarier your monster becomes. Less is more. Instead of what could have easily been another cheap B-movie, Steven Spielberg, as well as the rest of the cast and crew that worked on the movie, created a masterpiece that became the first ever summer blockbuster and an absolute classic in American cinema. With a budget of $9 million, Jaws returned with $260 million domestically and $470 million globally, and not only saved Spielberg, but also seriously boosted his career. Jaws has become a 4th of July tradition in my family, and is easily one of my favorite movies of all time. It has been incredibly influential in the film industry, and while there have been many that tried to capture what it accomplished, there's nothing like the movie that made everyone want to stay as far away from the water as possible.
Martin, it's all psychological. You yell Barracuda. Everybody says, huh? What? You yell shark. We've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
I want to thank you all for watching this video, and if you want to see more content like this, make sure to like and subscribe. I've been Sean from Atomic Productions, and have a great 4th of July.